So again, it's another busy month for us. In March last month, we did on 100 referrals came through to the hub, and again, as you can see, the national average is around 52 cases per month. So for this year, this is the third time we've hit, well, since November, this is the third time we've hit triple figures. So in terms of staff reaching out support, we've actually not done as much outreach and engagement. We thought the numbers would drop, but actually they are still in the triple figures. I've just done a check on the numbers for this month, and it's still relatively high. So the numbers and people are coming through. There is definitely a need for the service continuous. But yeah, so last month we had 100, and as you can see, the national average is around 52 cases per month. And that little green box gives an indication of when we actually started introducing our service to sectors. So quick care was February 2021, NHS Trust was April 21, social care was June 21, and primary care and emergency services was August 21. And to date, we have had 1,735 referrals, and that's people coming in for direct one-to-one psychological interventions. In terms of a numbers game for people coming through the hub, in terms of like an engagement aspect, we are way over, I think it's 7,674. I need to add today's numbers on. So we're way in the thousands in terms of engagement rates, and our non-clinical side of the hub as well is very being used like workshops and stuff. But I'll talk about that as we go further on. So in terms of organising the data by cumulative approach for organisations, we do have Luft Liverpool University Foundation Trust and Merseycare as the big users of the service, from 271 and 246 referrals to date. And then next we have Mid Cheshire, St Helens and Knowsley, Mid Cheshire, Alderhay, Countess of Chester. Apologies, I have put acronyms on this, and I've just realised that not many people might know what acronyms are. So if you are struggling, please do put something in the chat, or if you have any questions, let us know. We banned social care up as one because social care, we have over 500 providers, and if we put it as in Merseyside or Cheshire, or actually go further into localities, it then becomes a bit of an issue trying to extract the data. So social care is just over one, and that's at 77. There are 61 cases that have come through the hub which have declined to answer to say what area they work in, but we still count that data. So we have 61 cases there. We don't know where these people work. And then at the bottom end, as you'll see, we don't give any data under usually under 10, but I included West Cheshire because primary care, we've just recently split the data. So anything under 10 we don't usually give, purely because of confidentiality aspects. So a broad range across, and then as we go further in terms of IAPSIS referrals, that's organised by employers per last month, and these are referrals that came in during March. So we've got Merseycare, Luft, NHS Trust, why is it saying that? Okay, I'll find that one out. And then we've got Southport, and then Countess of Chester. And these are our biggest ones that we've had last month. And then as we go further, as a deep dive looking into specific areas of roles, we have qualified or trainee nurse or midwife, which are at 27. Qualified allied health professional, which is at 15. Other, so that could be admin, non-clinical roles type of things. They are at 13. Non-clinical support roles at 12, and then healthcare assistants, again, level pegging at 12. And then we have qualified doctor or consultant at 9. So as we look at information of where things are, as we put things outwards, so we've completed an array of assessments last month, and then from there they have been referred outwards, and these could be to IAPT, which is improving access to psychological therapies, or local services to meet their needs. So 17 midwives and nurses have been referred outwards, 5 doctors, consultants, 6 managers or leads, other clinical roles, which is at 25, and also non-clinical staff at 23. And from that, we completed 4 pathway support cases. Now, pathway support is basically non-clinical interventions. So if staff members are struggling with housing, with debt, finance, social engagement, domestic abuse, anything non-clinically related, we link with our third sector partners. And last month, we completed 2 aspects and 1 social engagement and 1 domestic violence approach. So that's basically it in terms of the numbers for the hub. We try to keep it short and sweet, not give you too much data to confuse you with. But what we do is we also give you a bit of an update in terms of where we are with the hub. So current updates as planned. We previously ran a sleep group which was really well received by staff members, and clients who wanted to get involved in the sleep group had to have an assessment part of our pathway approach. This is now finished, and we are now rolling out a new CBT skills group, which will encompass sleep group or sleep hygiene. Again, it's going to our governance meeting tomorrow to get signed off. So once it is signed off, I'll be doing all the PR, the design, all that sort of stuff, and I'll be sending it out to you guys to pop on your staff intranets and whatnot. Hopefully, we'll get the go ahead governance, and then everything will be straightforward from there. We are starting a bit of a staff recognition scheme. Basically, I've looked in our storage unit, and we have an abundance of critical care bags. So when we first started, we had specific stuff for crit care staff. Now we've got an abundance of these, and instead of them going to waste, what we've decided to do is do like a recognition scheme. And these are going to become the star awards. And I've designed everything black and gold, very swanky, and that's being rolled out next week. And then staff members can nominate. It's a really easy form. And then what we'll do is we'll link with the organisation, the health and wellbeing leads, etc., for a bit of a good news story as well. And we'll come to your organisation and present the recipient with a certificate and a little wellbeing, a pro wellbeing bag, if you would. And then this next month is Mental Health Awareness Week, a big one for us, and again for many of you guys. And what we're looking at doing is doing like a bit of a virtual wellbeing week. Now we do have bookings in place for us to attend or different organisations. But we're just pulling things together in terms of like a virtual wellbeing aspect. People can join via Teams, an hour sessions. It could be a lunch and learn event type of thing. But these will be focused around cost of living support. Also the workshops which we've got currently recorded, which will just be a webinar, not a workshop. And these are around burnout, self-care, team self-care, understanding stress, that sort of stuff. And it's changing the language barriers on therapy and allowing people to understand what is CBT or what is EMDR type of thing. And following that, workshops have been filmed. We are filming one today, and they are going to be hosted on our website, and they're just general webinars. So we've taken all the engagement aspects out of it, so people can, instead of being an hour session, it's around 30 minutes, so people can lunch and learn type of thing at the same time. And we've also brought burnout workshop back. So we've listened to what people have said, and we've rejigged it because it was very COVID heavy. So what we've done is we've completely changed the burnout workshop, and it's back, and we're going to run it for 3 sessions online, and then we're also going to record it once the clinicians are comfortable with the level of where it's at, and make any little changes and whatnot. And then that all of them are going to be hosted on our website as well via YouTube, so we can share the link in our newsletter, hub updates type of thing. Our website has had a bit of a rejuvenation, basically to become less COVID heavy. A lot of the information we provided on there was around how to deal with stress in COVID, working from home, burnout, that sort of stuff. And we've included a lot more stuff on there, such as menopause support, cost of living support, general non-clinical stuff, as well as clinical stuff like how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with stress. And if there's anything you think that needs to be added on, please do let us know. And we will happily edit, well, I'll happily edit the website and get it up. So I'm just going to bring us on to 5 minutes ahead of time, up to partner updates, but I'm going to end the slideshow here because I can't see no one. So bring you back to my screen. Well, smash him. Right, let's do some partner updates then. I will go in order. Paul, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is my first meeting, actually, so I might not have too much of an update from Cheshire and Merseyside. My colleague Suzanne can't be with us today. I joined the ICB in January as head of workforce programs, and most recently, retention's come under my portfolio. Obviously, lots of correlation and links between the retention and the work that goes on in this group. So more of a learning experience for me today, and to hear about the good work you guys are doing. But most recently, just on behalf of Suzanne, in terms of engagement, we hired Suzanne Burrows. She started the same time as me in January this year, looking more around the internal part of the ICB, because whilst we look after a huge network, we're also accompanying a trust almost in ourselves. So Suzanne's doing a lot of work around the engagement. We've recently been sharing our engagement scores, looking at some of the opportunities for enhancement and development. And I know in the health and wellbeing space, Suzanne's got some plans, making sure she's engaging right at the front end with our team. So apologies, no in-depth update from us in that respect, but really happy to be here today to hear some of the good work and see what takeaways I can get around retention. My colleague Julie's here, I've been her humble apprentice for the last few weeks, shadowing Julie and getting to meet people, which has been really helpful. I've been out of the NHS for 15 years and I've got a little bit of catch up to do. A lot of things that are familiar, but also a lot of innovation going on. So yeah, looking forward. Apologies, I'll be love to hear what's going on.
Well, thanks, Paul. It's really appreciate you joining us. Me and Suzanne have been linking together in terms of finding out, understanding things like, say, staff survey results, how we can work together to interlink better. And also the likes of Julie as well. Over the past few months, we've met and understood what each other's roles are or purposes are in terms of the organisational aspect. So glad that you can join us and learn, see what's happening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paul. Jude, over to you.
Hi everybody. Hi, so I'm Jude, because I think there's some faces that I don't recognise. I'm Jude Heaver. I'm the Health and Wellbeing Manager for the North West, working for NHSE. So I cover Cheshire, Merseyside, Lancashire, South Cumbria, and Greater Manchester. I suppose, and I apologise, I've not been on one of these meetings for about 3 sessions, so playing catch up, but here we are. I'm here now, back again. So yeah, from a regional perspective, I suppose, just to let everybody know, you may or may not be aware, the NHSE team or organisation are going through quite a lot of change at the moment. The national function is currently, and their consultation ended, and we will go and are due to go into consultation kind of beginning of June, end of May, beginning of June time. So there's a lot of change and transformation happening. We're all a bit in a bit of ambiguity as to what it will look like moving forward. And actually, there's a real hopeful sense and optimism that actually there's some work around how in the future that the national, regional teams and ICB teams and organisations work together moving forward, because a lot of this change is about a reduction in resources, so there'll be less of us to do all this fabulous work. So hopefully if we can work together and collaborate, we can still achieve quite a lot. So just to, we provide a newsletter, and it was going out on a 2-weekly basis. We've just moved that at the moment to once a month, on the 1st of every month, just until we kind of understand where we are moving forward and we can continue to provide relevant data in a timely manner. So that newsletter is due to go out tomorrow, and there's quite a lot of useful insights in there. There is the attachment to the new Looking After Your Team Health and Wellbeing Guide. It's developed by our Northwest Leadership Academy together with the national team, which is a really good resource. The link to our growing occupational health and wellbeing strategy, there is a draft directory of services that is also included there, and that's looking at what occupational services should look like, the kind of the minimum standards around that. So it's helpful for organisations to kind of make sure that they're covering most elements. So that is a draft, and it's a draft because when people do start using it, if they've got any feedback, then we want it shared back so we can actually make it a kind of really useful tool, and actually a tool that is for everybody. There is some research from Birkbeck that's attached on there, which has a lot of case studies from organisations around organisational wellbeing interventions, and it really kind of highlights information around what works and what necessarily doesn't, and it splits things around individuals and organisational levels, and actually really highlights actually that work around wellbeing at an organisation level can be more effective than work happening at just an individual level. So there's a happy mix there to be had. We at the regional level are looking at how organisations are using the health and wellbeing framework. My colleague Monica has reached out to all health and wellbeing leads across the Northwest to really get a flavour of how people are using it. And if they're not, then that's information for us, because actually we want to understand and obtain case studies, share it with everybody across Northwest, but also understand what support is required moving forward, because instead of trying to do that broad brush approach, it's actually let's look at what's actually needed and work together to support organisations where required. And I have been working in the background on a wellbeing, kind of a concept around a wellbeing community. And I've developed an animation and a resource pack. What that is in simple terms, because I'm quite simple in how I think about things, is that it's not about creating anything new. It's looking at all the resources that are in organisations that have that increased focus on colleague health and well-being. So if we think about wellbeing champions, and I know we've got organisations here that don't necessarily have all these roles, but the hope is that actually we can look at some of the principles around this wellbeing community and see how we can use it in more of the wider system organisations. So it's looking at all the roles: wellbeing champions, health and wellbeing leads, HRDs, all the kind of roles that exist. There's about 15, 16 currently in kind of a trust organisation or provider organisation. And it's how do we better use them more effectively to gain the insight that they have and they pick up from regular conversations with colleagues, with peers, and use that better to inform wellbeing and workforce moving strategies and interventions moving forward. So it's being signed off. I'm pulling together a bit of a communications pack that will go along with it, and there will be events that we will use to kind of launch that and hopefully share it far and wide, and hopefully it'll be of some benefit to you. And we are looking at organisations that kind of have this happening already, so we can use and work with them to help share that ethos. So if you do, you have kind of got that in place already. I know St Helens and Knowsley have, so I'm linking in with Adam there. Then please do reach out to me, because it'll be good to work together and share your experiences with that. So that's probably enough from me, Lee. I don't want to take over everything. I'm sorry, it's probably taken far too long as it is.
Oh no, it's fine, honestly. It's really good, really insightful. And I think, like what you say about the insights about the health and wellbeing framework, whether people are using it or aren't using it will give us great insights as to how we move forward or how we move sideways to capture the relevant data as well. if there's anything you want me to put out in terms of, say, the newsletter or anything like that, send it me all through, or send it Rebecca. And we'll, once we populate all the minutes and whatnot, we can add all this in.
Yeah.
send
Okay,
that
I
to
think
them.
I think Stylianos will send the newsletter out tomorrow, so I think the majority on this call will probably get it. If you don't, or either Lincoln, myself, or Lee, and we'll make sure you add it to the distribution list for that.
Perfect. Thanks, Jude. Nice to see you.
You too.
Brill. I will then go over to Kathy over at the Countess.
Thank you, Lee. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm the wellbeing practitioner for the Countess of Chester. I was going to ask Judith just before I start, how is best to contact you? Is it phone? Is it email?
I will put my email in the chat, and I have a mobile number, so we can email and then we can phone it, whichever's easiest for you.
Fabulous.
I'm quite happy either way.
Or
Thank
we
you.
can
Okay.
still carry pigeons.
So we get across the trust, since I've started, I've managed to recruit around about 50 wellbeing allies, which is wellbeing champions, wellbeing allies. So yeah, they have their challenges and their difficulties. So yeah, I'd be really interested to speak to Judith about that. With regards to updates as such, I think at the moment we've just been really working alongside promoting the NHS games quite a lot. We've just recently done the Step Challenge, and we had a really good response for that around the Countess. The This Girl Can program as well. They're coming here tonight to the Countess. We booked a room for them to do the This Girl Can, which is the exercise for people who don't usually do any exercise. It's just to show them how fun it can be. Again, we've had a really good response to that, so we've got quite a few people coming tonight on that. I noticed you can look at the table for the NHS games and see who's booking on what, and they've still only got that one women's football team going. So if anybody knows of a women's football team that would join, they'd at least have someone to play against, wouldn't they? What else? We've focused as well on awareness days calendar. If you've probably all seen awareness days on calendars, and we've kind of got together and tried to really focus on which awareness days we want to promote rather than have so many of them, because like Lee, there is so many awareness days. You got to really choose. So that's what we've been doing as well, trying to focus on which awareness days we're going to be focusing on.
It's the same with us, Kathy, in terms of wellbeing awareness days, because you've got National Pie Day and all of this sort of stuff, which
Yeah,
really doesn't have an impact. Or I mean, it does, because if you love
yeah,
pies, then it's brilliant. But in
yeah.
terms of stuff, I've
Mm.
just copied the link over into the chat for you. This is from NHS employers. They have a national calendar of campaigns. So if you haven't got that, it's great for you to utilise just as a starting point.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kathy.
No, that's great. Just having a little look. Yeah, I was chatting to Katie. I'm not quite sure what's the role title of Katie as such, the ones that get in touch with us personally.
They are our champions. So
Champions. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so I was chatting because of we were just chatting about waiting lists and such, because I feel like at this moment in time going into, well, we're in April, aren't we? We're nearly at the end of it. It's so important to try and find out where these services are that we've been directing people to and where their waiting lists are at. And then Katie was able to inform me that somebody I've been promoting heavily wasn't doing what they're doing no more. So I think that's something I'll be looking into now to see who in actual fact is still providing the service they said they were going to, or did they lose funding, or did they get so overwhelmed with it they can't cope with anymore. So that's something I really want to look into.
I've just been having conversations with, so every morning we have a safety huddle and we talk about what's currently happening. say for example practitioner health, which deal with GPs, so they've stopped taking certain referrals and stuff. So what we're looking at doing is understanding it very much ourselves as well, who's doing what across the patch and how are they funding it. And then what I can do is I can look at putting this in a document and sending this out to people, saving you having to dig for all the information. We can just pull it from our systems, and I can send that out as well, if that's helpful.
That would be helpful. Thanks, Lee. And that's about it for me. Obviously, we are getting a wellbeing hub built in the hospital now. Finally, the plans have been drawn up, so that looks like that's all being signed off. So, an actual wellbeing hub for the staff with an office in for me. Yay!
Well, when you do get it, give us a shout. We'll pop over and we'll have a brew.
Might get you to come and cut the ribbon for us, Lee.
I love that idea.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it. Jane, over at Luft, I will come to you.
So I will actually hand to Chloe because Chloe sits across staff support, psychology and wellbeing. So Chloe will give us an overview and I might chip back in.
Jill, cheers, thank you.
Yeah, I did say Jane might have to because I have a tendency to waffle. So enabling. So I'm Chloe, for those that don't know. I'm split post between supporting the staff support psychology service and health and wellbeing. So there's quite a short health and wellbeing team. It's only myself and Sam Holder, who's the lead, but she also has a split post between specialist OT as well. So as you can imagine, quite a difficult role for us both to do, considering we also have full-time roles alongside that. So just some updates. We have recruited, I think, over 200 wellbeing champions now across a variety of departments within Luft. And that's including, the Royal, Broad Green, Atria and Liverpool Innovation Park. We share any health and wellbeing activities, events, and that's both internal and external. I'm more than happy to share that. It's not the best, but I try. And that's, like Kathy said, promoting the NHS games as well. And we also contributed to the STEP challenge. I noticed I was wearing my Fitbit more, so it was quite helpful. The internal activities, like I said, all 4 sites and external, so confirming this beforehand, so such as life rooms and our house Walton and everything in between, just to ensure that we're promoting a wide range, and that's Tai Chi. I've just been in touch with, I think it's called the Reader, where it's like I think it was a poetry reading group, and it's just quite different activities for everyone to be involved with. And I promote them on the social media platforms, so Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. If you would like to follow, it should be Luft Wellbeing. I've also been liaising with Claire Ingham, who's part of your team. She's our Luft staff support champion, just as general catch-ups bi-monthly to establish the wait times and just to work collaboratively to manage wait times and signposting as efficiently. And that's been working quite well. And as I mentioned, so Sam Holder is our health and wellbeing lead, and I'm not too sure where we're up to in terms of a wellbeing hub. I know last time me and Lee actually caught up face to face, which was nice. That was during one of our health and wellbeing event days. And I know that you met Sam for the first time, I think. So I'm not too sure where we're up to there. It's actually on my to-do list to chase it up.
I think the short answer on that is it's a bit of a saga and it's an ongoing challenge that Sam in particular is facing, to encourage the trust to put the money where the mouth is in terms of prioritising space for wellbeing.
Just on that note as well, so there was a wellbeing event that I attended a few months back, and I said to Sam, if there's anything we can do in terms of support from the hub, i.e. a letter of support for the wellbeing rooms, then let us know. I have been liaising with someone, I think it's called Andrew. I think is a psychologist. I'm not too sure.
Andrew Morgan.
That's the one, about some data sets as well, that looking into Luft specific data sets,
Yes,
that we can enhance this. So if there's anything else we can do to support you in like letters of recommendation, anything like that, then we're happy to help as the hub.
But we will remind Sam of that actually as she continues to state the case. Much appreciated.
No
Yeah,
worries.
I'd like them to get back up and running because I know you were very helpful when we had those sessions in the Old Royal, so that would be very helpful. But on that note, and also I've been working with Emma, who is on this call. I don't know where I am anymore. So yeah, there she is. Just with the Arts for Blues, which I don't know if you mentioned earlier, but so we just work closely around that. And that's it from me. I don't know if I've missed anything off.
Don't think so. Because if you hadn't ended like that, I was going to chip in on
Oh.
that just to say that we have been working with Emma and her colleagues at Edge Hill on a number of different projects around creative aspects to staff wellbeing, and I was hoping, Lee, that would be the kind of feed line to hand over to Emma.
No pressure.
Not a problem. Hi, Emma. So I did a bit of an introduction for you because you was on, but then you disappeared.
Sorry.
So this bit of the section is partner update. So I'll let you introduce yourself and just say you don't need to obviously give an update because it's your first one, but just let us know what it is that you're currently working on, say with Jane and Chloe at Luft.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Thanks so much for inviting me as well. As Jane and Chloe have said, we've been working quite closely with the staff psychology support service at Luft, and and Chloe's actually been helping us deliver some of the projects that we've been doing. So we have developed a creative arts therapy plan, I guess, for depression generally, but we've been adapting it for staff wellbeing. So it is part of a research project that we're doing. And at the moment, we've been doing this feasibility project with Luft, and we're currently looking at the data from that, which shows some really promising results as we're looking through it. And so what we're hoping to do is to be able to take that forward into more research projects. So doing probably a larger feasibility study across different sites. And it was actually one of our participants that joined in with the 12 session model that we have, who gave me your name and said you should get in touch with the Cheshire and Merseyside Resilience Hub because that she was singing your praises and saying what brilliant work you do. And
that's what we do.
Yes, yeah. So I guess she was saying, she was really keen that it might be something that we might be able to offer in terms of the program that we're developing as part of the research. So yeah, so it's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, worries, that's fine. What I'll also do is I'm like the gatekeeper of people's data. So if you do need data, information, so I can interlink you with people like Jude. I know she's put her email in the chat. But other health and wellbeing leads across the patch because there's quite a few people as well. But yeah, I'll happily link with you. I'll be in touch after this, not after this meeting, but say next week, for example,
Yeah.
to look how we can interlink better, if that's okay.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Lee. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Julia, I'll come up to you. If you want to give an update or whether Paul's done it for you.
Right. And so first, I am. This is my last meeting because I'm going to retire at the end of May, and so it's took me all my life to get an apprentice. I've just got one, and I'm leaving.
You're passing the
Apprenticeships are for
baton
everybody.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, so retention is going to sit in Paul's portfolio because for those who don't know me, I'm the Cheshire and Mersey retention lead, but I actually work for HEE, so we know, as Jude alerted to earlier, the changes that are going on in HEE and NHSE. So I am taking my leave from there, and we'll be finishing at the end of May. So that's not a great retention story, is it? I'm retiring and not returning.
No, but that's the thing, though. Your time is now, isn't it? So it's a success story within itself because you've seen it through, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that we're just doing together, Paul and I, is bringing together our retention improvement plan. So lots of the things that are being spoken about today, are quite, oh, sorry, the phone goes, the dog goes, what's going on? But really talking to our colleagues across Cheshire and Merseyside to develop a retention improvement plan, health and wellbeing clearly. What I have suggested Paul contact you about is the staff award bit that you were talking about, because that's part of that retention improvement plan, and it's just obviously we've got the information because we did a big sort of retention survey around what's already happening in trust, so that we can work together and maybe, you know, obviously do a bit of comms around that through our retention forum as well, which is in a couple of weeks. So,
I think
yeah.
this is it. It's not again doing it against each other. It's doing it with each other, because we've all got the same goal at the end of the day. So we've got the reach, you've got the reach. So let's combine resources and actually link together and make it something that could be really worthwhile.
Absolutely, you've got the prizes. We definitely haven't got any fancy prizes in gold and black. So my ears pricked up immediately.
I've got 33 and that's it. We're 33 and we're done. I can't promise any more after that. maybe
that's
maybe we'll
great.
give someone a hand sanitizer or a pen after that.
And a couple of out-of-date notebooks for your winners.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
No, it would be great,
Perfect.
you know, and just to reach in, and then we know how, you know, it's just a little first bit, isn't it? You know, that's
Yeah,
great. Thank
definitely.
you. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll stop there, but it's been great to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have had some updates in the chat. So Rachel Cowley from the women's, she's actually leaving. I don't know if she's in my comms, but basically she's just said apologies for me today. I've been pulled into something else, and I want to say farewell to you all. And I think this would have been my last meeting, last day of work for Rachel. It's on the 24th of May. So she just wants to thank you for all your support over the years. She's heading down to Cornwall, for those who do not know. So thanks, Rachel, if you're watching this after. And then we've also had a bit of an update and apologies from Roberta. Roberta is from Active Cheshire, who coincides with Merseyside Sport and does all the NHS Northwest games. And she interlinks with a range of the projects which are currently happening, and also leads on factors such as MEC, which is making every contact count, interlinking different services, wellbeing platforms as well as one. So that brings me back to our final slide. Is just Mental Health Awareness Week is coming up. We've talked about there's an awareness day for everything these days, but the big one for us is there's obviously Stress Awareness Month, and also Mental Health Awareness Week. Mental Health Awareness Week is in mid-May. I was just wondering if you guys had anything planned for it, anything big or anything small or nothing at all, if you need any resources, that sort of stuff.
I'm trying to plan something. Not sure what date or when, but there will definitely be something. Last time I spoke to you, you weren't in the position to do any outreach stuff of any kind. So I was wondering if there was any updates around that.
Short answer, no.
Hmm.
In a sense, we are waiting to hear from the ICB as to where we currently are with funding. We haven't had no comms, so this is why at the moment it's just business as usual. We do have to limit a lot of the stuff what we're doing, and as you can see behind Rebecca, it's full of boxes. So I've emptied our storeroom recently, and we're just trying to organise all of this. So short answer, no. I will be in touch with you in time, and I don't know how long it will take, but I will be in touch with you just to give you a bit of an update. We can do outreach, but we have to limit the amount that we're doing every month, because the boxes that, again, behind Rebecca are the boxes that we have left of stuff, and there's not that many. So when I say we have to limit, I'm going to outreach sessions and I'm like, you can have one thing, you can have a lip, or you can have a pen, none of this vulture type stuff when you talk about freebies. So yeah, basically, I can't really give you an update. The news is there's no news. So
Okay.
at the moment,
Yeah.
it's just business as usual, and we'll carry on from there.
Thanks, Lee.
All right. Well, anybody else doing anything for Mental Health Awareness Week? Well, I am doing a virtual wellbeing week, and I've been tapping up Jude's team for cost of living stuff. I've been pulling in stuff from St Helens and Knowsley, and I'm going to be delivering. Rebecca doesn't know this yet, but me and Rebecca are going to be doing some of these projects during the week as well, and we'll also be out and about to prioritise the service, push the service to staff members. So if you do have anything happening, let us know. We'll happily, either myself or the team will swing by and we'll promote the service and have a nice little fun day with yourselves. Kathy, go ahead.
I was just wondering, how do people access your virtual week? Is it for anybody to access? Go on.
It'll be anybody by you. No,
Thank you.
basically, it will be. So, what I'm in the process of just doing our new newsletter, and everything will be on there. It'll be all via Teams, and it'll all have all the joining passcode, all that sort of stuff. What I don't want to do is start sending an email here and email there, because then it gets lost. So I'm trying to put it all in one place. So then when I do send that, I can just copy and paste into the email and say, hey guys, we've got this. And we'll also be putting it on our website as well, like creating a bit of a timetable.
Thank you.
And I will send that out, but I'll send it separate to the PEF minutes because, again, I don't want it to get lost in translation. Smashing. That brings us to 15 minutes before closure. Does anybody have any questions, burning questions they want to ask? If not, forever hold your peace. There we are then, the gauntlet's done. The hammer's down, the meeting's finished. Thank you very much, everybody. Have yourself a lovely weekend when it comes. In the meantime, if you do want to catch me outside of the meeting, send me an email, send me a Teams request, we're here for you. And yeah, have a lovely weekend when it comes.
Thank
Brill.
you.
Thank you.
Lou.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.